All right, here's the deal. Silver 4 is just good. And I did a video, I think it was last week, that was kind of an intensive workshop of how I use and edit with Silver 4. But I thought to myself, Gavin, I thought you should make a quick start video for Silver 4 also. And I was in here in the studio doing live streams and recording today. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do a quick start video because Silver 4 is so easy to use. I think the beauty of black and white is the subtlety of tone. I love working with color and cinematic color and film looks and all this stuff. And we make tools and packs and presets for all this. But Silver has kind of been a passion project of mine for over 10 years now. And now at version 4, with all these other tools and plugins and complex ways to get really good black and white, Silver just cuts to the chase. And it just says, let's just convert the channels. Let's think about the shadows and the highlights and the blacks. Let's categorize, let's organize, and let's make it easy. And so that's what Silver 4 does, is it works directly on the raw file, giving us more quality and control. There's no lag of having to open up in a plugin. I love actions in Photoshop, and sometimes even I'll use plugins and things like that in Photoshop when I'm refining images. But when I'm doing a base conversion of color or to black and white, I want to, as much as possible, work directly with the raw file. So with Silver, I can do a conversion. And then if I want to refine that image per print, I can go to Photoshop, for example. I can use Lumist actions. I can see all the zones based on Ansel Adams zone scale and use the real-time maps and things from Lumist. But for the conversion, I can just use Silver, and it works amazing. Let's not waste time, though, because I want to make this, like I said, a quick start video. So I'm actually going to pop into Lightroom. I'm going to switch you over to the split screen view here so that you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to show you real quick. Here's a kind of a medley of images. I'm not going to edit all of these because if you want to see me edit a lot of images, I will link the longer Silver hands-on workshop that I live streamed a week or so ago in the comments. However, for right now, I'm just going to take my normal process of I'm looking at images. I might do some quick develop to adjust exposure and balance them out. And we're just going to look at a couple things, a couple portraits, a couple landscapes, a couple street scenes, and I'm going to walk you through using Silver. Let's hit the DT and go to develop module here. And we're in Lightroom. There's trucks and stuff passing by outside, so excuse the noise. You can use Silver. You can see I have it installed here. This is version 4.1. which was an important update. You want to be at least at 4.1 because we have the IQ Silver and all these other updates. I'll come to that in a second. You can also use it in Capture One, and you can see if we come over here to Capture One, this is actually a very similar image, but regardless of what we're editing, we can come into Capture One. We can open up our image in Silver, and there it is right there, Silver 4.1 for Capture One. And so you're going to see the same presets more or less. Let's run Darkroom Crush on this. It just looks really good, kind of this fadey kind of look, and I like it. But bottom line is if you're using Capture One, I'm going to use Lightroom mostly in this video, but you'll see here that the categories are the same, the names are the same, the overall look of these is the same, and I've done a lot of work to kind of make them consistent between the platforms. I'm going to close Capture One for now, for the sake of not using up too many system resources because I'm also recording the video. Okay, let's come back to Lightroom. Again, same presets. The first thing that you can do when you come in here and you're working with this is you have the IQ Silver. This actually came out in 4.1, and it's just an advancement over the years of the auto black and white. These actually do use the auto tone settings. I don't use these a lot, and you'll see in a lot of my presets, auto tone is ignored, white balance is ignored, almost always in a preset because that's a variable that a preset really can't guess at. But let's actually click this. Silver Auto Matte is a great general purpose conversion using auto tone. Silver Auto Flex is going to be a little softer. You can see it's a little brighter. It lifts the skin tones a little more. So it's still using auto tone, but it's doing different things with curves and channels. And that's the beauty. These three alone, you can edit hundreds of images with, and they're just going to look good. Darkroom Crush is kind of a film-inspired, lifted shadows, like you were just playing around in the darkroom and just bringing in the shadows and the highlights. You can see there's a little bit of a unique curve on Darkroom Crush. And if I look at this, I can run this on a lot of images. So basically you have general purpose, you have portrait, and you have darkroom crush, which could work on portraits or anything else. And you can see here, here's a night scene. I'm gonna run that same darkroom crush and it looks good. I'm just gonna bring up the exposure a tiny bit more. And some of you might love this kind of lifted shadow look. Others might want a more contrasty look like autoflex. But the bottom line is when you come into silver, you're gonna start with these 3 IQ silvers, and they are meant to kick you off really fast. And these will work on a freaking ton of your photos. Whatever it is that you're shooting, they work, and they work good. But let's talk a little bit about what's in silver. We're not gonna have time in the quick start video to go through every preset, but you can see we start with IQ silver and then we have mods. And when I talk about mods, I mean we can come in here, we can apply something like autoflex to get a good looking portrait. I'm going to bring my exposure up just a touch on this, and let's zoom in, and you can see, for example, in the mods, we can do contrast blacks. We can bring up clarity a little bit. We have grain tools. I'll use these a lot. The Filmic Silver will apply grain, just like Filmist will, okay? And the beauty of Filmic Silver is it's not trying to be a specific film, it's just film-inspired looks. And we'll come to that in just a second. But I can also apply a grain mod. Any of these mods up here at the top will make changes without changing any of the other settings. So I can say a light grain, a level 2 grain, or a more heavy grain, and just change that around. I'm gonna stick with a light grain. I can also do the Film Detail FSG, which is a film grain and a sharpen and a noise, a little bit of everything all in one. Great to use in batches, things like that. I can do a vignette. There's also a vignette reset tool here and a couple of different vignettes that you can run just to get really great looking silver. Okay, but what next? We come down here, IQ Silver, mods, and then we have our classic silver. We've simplified the categories a little bit in Silver 4 from previous versions just to make it quick. It doesn't mean that those best presets disappeared. Sure, in each new version, we remove a few presets, we add some new presets, we combine a few, and we update everything, and that's what you're gonna see here. But in Classic Silver, you're gonna see the best from past versions like Simple Silver, Renaissance, and you can see I can just mouse over, and all of these are gonna give me different looks. Some of them are geared towards skin, some of them are geared towards being a little gritty, some of them are dynamic range like HDR Silver, and some of them are just good everyday silver like Simple Silver. So whatever it is you're looking to achieve, you're gonna get there. I'm just gonna kind of flip images through as I go through these so you can see I could do perfect portrait here. It looks great. I could do Orton, a little bit of a softer tone. I could do shimmer portrait or silver skin. There's so much versatility here and you can do this so quickly. And then the beauty is if you like it, you can just copy it and you can paste it. Unlike with an action or a plugin where there's more steps to deal with, you can just paste it to the entire grouping of images. I'll show you that in just a second. Let's actually come down here, in fact, because we have then the Filmic Silver. So you have kind of the opening category with the mods and the IQ Silver, and then you have the Filmic Silver, the Classic Silver, and the Bold Silver. These are probably not gonna be, for most of your portraits, they're going to be more gritty, although sometimes you might have a portrait and you want more of a gritty, kind of a Dave Hill kind of look. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's the beauty of how we've categorized these to kind of keep them where they want to be. So you have the bold looks right down here, and you have the filmic looks here. The filmic looks are luscious. I use these all the time. They use different degrees of grain, and you can see in the names that they imply, even though they're not mimicking a specific real world film, they are taking inspiration from different real world films. They're taking different grain levels. And so you can see here that they just work really well. If I take an image here, I can come in and I can just run these different filmic looks, and every one of them is going to give me a different look. And who would have thought, like a lot of times I think people think when they're getting started that black and white is about desaturation, but it's not. We're changing curves, we're changing channels, and that's the beauty of being able to use presets, is having all of these tools, all of these different options and variables. It's not about making my black and white and your black and white look alike. It's about giving you tools and variables that you would never try manually because it would just take too long. And let's actually go in here. Here's a little trio of images that are kind of similar. Let's take these three. There's actually four here. And I'm going to take this and select them all. And you can see I have auto sync on. So when I select all of these, I can actually come in here and say, well, let's take one of our Filmics, and I'm going to browse over. I have enough CPU horsepower right now that I can kind of do the real-time browsing, the real-time preview. If it's slowing your system down, you can go to Preferences in Lightroom and turn off the real-time preview so that it only shows up here, because it does use a lot of system resources. I'm going to do something like, I don't even know, there's so many good Filmic looks here. I love these. These are nice lit. We're right at sunset here. And I'm going to do something a little bit soft like wax contact and just apply it to all. You can see now that we have a grain, we have a little bit of lift in the shadows, but we still have richness in the whites. A lot of times when I'm working with black and white, and I'm just going to up the exposure a little bit on all of these, you see I just did all of them because they're all selected, or I could have done one. This is the way I'll edit a lot as well. I'll do one, just come back to the grid, copy it, copy the settings, and paste it to a group of images. So you guys, you can watch more of editing these different looks in the longer workshop. I just wanted to do a quick start guide. You can see then as you come down here to the bottom, you have channel mods. So you can only change the channels with these and not have to affect the rest, not your grain, not your tones, not your dynamic range. So it's kind of like we use the classic color filters in black and white. And then we have the tint mods, more simple than ever, just to get a nice blue tone, a nice selenium tone. Yes, if you want to get more advanced, you can use something like signature emulsion actions. Our signature emulsion actions for Photoshop are much more deep and complex and amazing, but these allow you to get some nice tones very quickly in Lightroom and Capture One. And by the way, I didn't cover this, but if you don't know how to install your Capture One presets, fear not, I didn't cover that in this video, but you can just go over to seimeffects.com/help, and there'll be info and videos in there on how to quickly install your presets in whatever software that you are using these in. So, all right, I think we've covered it. I don't want to make this long. This is our quick start guide for Silver 4. Hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a comment, drop a like, drop a subscribe. If you have questions, you want to email me, contact me, or if you want to pick up a copy of Silver 4 for yourself, just head over to seimeffects.com/silver, and it's right there. I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys make some amazing black and white. Tell me how it's working. I love being able to take black and white and use that whole tonal range, that zone scale from black to white, and really have that richness and that contrast. And Silver 4 is built all around that film, darkroom inspired kind of feel. And it's pretty awesome. All right, you guys, have a good one.